The Lands and Natural Resources Minister has directed gold dealership firm Akonta Mining Limited to stop operations in the Tano Forest. The directive is coming actually in the wake of a Joy News expose titled Distraction for Gold. Well, you recall that the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry made a declaration that no license has been issued for mineral prospecting in any forest reserve across the area and even in the country as well. But Love News has uncovered an ongoing degradation in the Tano Reserve, which is particularly happening around Samraboy in the western region. Love News has seen large portions of the reserve also estimated at about 12 football fields. They have already been destroyed by mining linked to the Akonta Mining Limited. The expose on the current destruction of the Tano and forest reserves in the area forms actually part of a documentary that was carried out by Erastus Asare Donko. Here are excerpts of Distraction for Gold.
On August 17th this year, the Minerals Commission in a press release stated that the Lands Minister has not issued any license for minerals prospecting in any forest reserve. The release, signed by Chief Executive Officer of the Commission, Martin Aisi, referred to a letter by Akonta Mining Limited dated August 8, 2022, which was an application for an entry permit to enter the Tano Nimiri Forest Reserve at Samraboy in the western region. The release said the application must be processed, quote, subject to the Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Directive on Mining in Forest Reserve. But even before the Lands Ministry would indicate publicly its position on the application, our checks indicate active mining in the Tano Nimiri Forest Reserve. A visit to the forest revealed large portions of the reserve already mined and degraded. This drone footage taken few days ago shows active mining linked to Akonta Mining Limited under the protection of armed personnel. The forest reserve is being destroyed with impunity even at the time of airing this report.
We are here at this thing, Tontokrom. They hold duties and there are some policemen and media be here.
Despite Love News' expose on military personnel protecting miners in the Odaho section of the Apamprama Forest Reserve, security personnel are still providing protection for miners who are pillaging the reserve currently, as corroborated by the Mentiahene of Bekwai, Nanakusi Frimpong Kotobre.
My district is Amanswe Central. That is where I have my cocoa farm. In that area, there's a forest called Kobo Forest. The forest is guarded by soldiers as people mine inside the forest. I had a confrontation with the soldiers. They said they are on duty. What kind of duty is being held in the forest? Ministers and people in government are the ones protecting them. Because I can't hire military men, if I could, I would ask them to accompany me to the farm to weed.
Also, excerpts of Distraction for Gold there, giving you a picture of what's happening with the Tano Reserve. Fortunately, Erastus Asare Donko has found that full expose, I call it, is joining us in studio. Erastus, it's a good time to be talking to you, knowing that there's a directive coming through from the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. We'll get into the details of that. But of course, what's underpinning this report, I believe, was that clear instruction or announcement that was given by the ministry earlier that they had totally placed a ban on mining along the water reserves, right?
It has been described as red zone.
Red zones, right. In that instruction that came and was signed by the Lands and Natural Resources Minister. Yeah. So when you went into the area, what did you discover?
In fact, this is a forest that holds valuable trees that has served the only company in that part of Ghana, that's Samatex, as a timber logging company. It served the company for the local community for about 40 years, over 40 years. And so any action that seeks to degrade the forest not only destroys the environment, but also destroys the local economy as well. Then people will not be getting jobs if that company should collapse. They are only cutting trees and processing them, and that's how come the locals also get jobs.
Okay.
But the mining in there is destroying the entire forest cover, creating gullies and other things in there.
Right.
Now, if you read the Mining Act, Section 99(2)
Right.
E of Act 703,
Okay.
it says a person who, without a license granted by the minister, undertakes a mining operation contrary to provision of this act commits an offence and is liable on a summary conviction to a fine of not less than 10,000 penalty units and not more than 15,000 penalty units, or a term of imprisonment of not less than 15 years. So, per the release that is coming from the Ministry of Lands, it admits that Akonta Mining has flouted these regulations, and that is liable to this punishment. So, I am expecting that we go beyond just asking the Forestry Commission to remove the permit or to take them out of the forest. I was expecting that by now we have security agencies, Operation Halt, or the police getting into the forest, arresting whoever is in there and making them face the full rigors of the law.
And in fact, we're getting reports about who may be behind this very company that we're talking about. We'll get into the details, but it's a good time to also bring on the screens now excerpts of that instruction we're receiving from the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, giving us a clear sense of that directive to the Akonta mining firm. So you would have excerpts on your screens right now indicating clearly what it is that the Ministry for Lands and Natural Resources has decided to do with regard to that expose. So you have excerpts there indicating that the attention of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has been drawn to publications about certain operations by the Akonta Mining Limited in the Tano Forest Reserve in the Amenfi West Municipality of the Western Region. Now, records available to the ministry shows that while the mining firm has a mining lease to undertake mining operations in some parts of Samaraboy outside the forest reserve, the company has no mineral right to undertake any mining operation in the forest reserve. That's what you're referring to, right, Erastus? And then the statement continues to indicate that our records show that Akonta Mining Limited on the 25th of August 2022 applied for a mining lease to undertake mining operations in the said forest reserve. By a ministerial directive, all prospective and exploratory activities in the forest reserve in the country are suspended except in exceptional circumstances, although this directive does not affect mining in the forest reserves, which the Akonta mining is applicable to. Now, accordingly, any alleged activity being undertaken by the company in the forest reserve is illegal. So the statement makes it clear, and it continues to talk about some more activities that may happen in the coming days. So, Erastus, that's, of course, backing the point that you're making, that if you look at the requirements of the law, criminal prosecution could come in at this point.
It should come in. Not just could come in, it should come in. Because then other people flouted the law. Some of them have their excavators bent, though there's an argument over whether that is legal or not, but they had the excavators bent. We went in boldly with Operation Halt. So why is this one an exception? Why is the minister or the government not interested in court? Because I'm expecting that if you are interested and there's fire on the mountain, by now we should be seeing action in that forest. We should be finding out who is in that forest. We should be arresting people. We should be engaging, bringing them to book. We should be getting these equipment in the forest out of that forest. Yesterday, when I felt the minister should be in that forest, taking that action, he was in Ashanti region in areas where mining were going on. And then later in the afternoon, there was a clash between the youth and task force of Akonta.
So you feel that may have necessitated this response from the ministry?
Well, I think that our expose and giving evidence, glaring
of what's clearly happening in the area,
clearly what is happening in the Tano Nimiri Forest Reserve, when indeed Akonta Mining has said, no, we are not doing anything there. There was a release by the Minerals Commission to the effect that they've not granted any permit. Akonta Mining has submitted an application indicating it wants a permit to enter the forest. It has not been granted yet. We wanted to show government that indeed, once you even think of granting that permit, they are already there. And about 12 football fields of that part of the forest has already been
terrible distraction
degraded.
going on there. There are more questions even about the identities we are uncovering this afternoon about some of the individuals who may be behind the company itself.
So the company Akonta Mining is no open secret. It belongs to Bernard Nchubo-Siakon, who is the regional chairman of the MPP. And in the documentary, as we aired on Monday, you will be seeing more environmental infractions by this same company on the Tano River, to be specific. And so on Monday, when we air the first part of the documentary, you'll be seeing more infractions. So it gives a sense of maybe flouting the laws with impunity. Why is one individual seemingly untouchable and that people are afraid to go in when that name particularly is mentioned? But when it comes to other mining areas, illegal mining areas, then we see an active involvement of task force, military and other things going in there, banning equipment, arresting people. I think the law is no respecter of persons, and we should attach the same importance to what is happening in there.
Erastus, thank you. In fact, there's a long conversation we're going to have because elsewhere in the eastern region as well, we're receiving more reports. For instance, this afternoon as well, the Chebi Divisional Police Command, together with the Ochiman Environmental Task Force, as we're learning in a joint operation, have arrested 24 illegal miners at one of the areas along the Etiwa East district. So that's part of the forest reserve as we're learning of. But let's get more from Maxwell Kudako, who's joining us via Zoom to give us an update. We showed you footages earlier of that exchange. In fact, exchange of firearms between, those who were members of the task force and allegedly the illegal miners. So Maxwell, give us some clarity to what we're learning of in the eastern region. Exactly what's happening now?
Well, we are told that 3 days ago, the chief of Asamantam for Osaberima Kwame Kon filed a complaint to the Achimboka Traditional Council involving some activities of illegal mining that is happening within the enclave, and sought the support of the security agencies and then the Ochihini to stop the menace. And you know, there is a mining and environmental task force that is set up by the Ochihini to protect the environment within the Achimba-Buakwa enclave. So the Ochihini, I'm told, directed that the task force get in touch with the security agencies to go and assess the situation at Asamantam and effect arrest if indeed there is illegal mining. So we are told the environmental task force went in with the Chebi Divisional Police Command with their men to Asamantam. But before they got to the mining site, we are told that the miners have had information that the police and the task force were coming. So they managed to take a vital part of one of the excavators and absconded. But unfortunately, they left one. So the task force was able to dismantle one of the excavators and then put it on a loader. They effected arrest of about 24 people. So whilst they were leaving the mining site to the Asamantam town, the miner had gone to mobilize men, and then they met them by the roadside and insisted that they take the excavator back to site. Other than that, there will be bloodshed. So we are told the police commander, together with the chief, wanted to calm them down, and then they told them that if they really have documents to support that they are legally mining in the area. We are told that they were even washing closer to a river around Asamantam. They were causing devastation to the river and the environment. So they insisted that if they have any document to prove that indeed they are mining legally, they should submit. They should come to the Chebi Divisional Police Command and they show proof of documentation. But the gentleman declined. So while the conversation was going back and forth, the guy has mobilized some thugs within the enclave. So they started pelting stone at them. And then the leader of the task force, that is Apejahene, Osaberima Okojiaman Apejafori, we are told got hit by one of the stone. So the men also opened fire at them, and then finally they were able to clear the road and then left the scene with the 24 people arrested, and then the excavator.
So for now, what updates are we getting from the police service in the area?
Well, the police is quite tight with information, but I can reliably inform our listeners that there's currently a crunch meeting going on at the Eastern Regional Police Command over the issue. That the divisional commander and the regional police, the CID, and other stakeholders are seriously looking into the matter. We are told that some of them who were arrested were not necessarily minors. Some had gone to farms, they were returning. Others says that there were surveyors who were doing survey work. So they are still screening the people to ascertain the number of them who were really engaged in the illegal mining. But I had a chit chat with the leader of the Environmental Protection Task Force, or Saberma Okojiman Apejafori. He tells me that from what happened yesterday, he's very much convinced that the district chief executive of the Etiwa East district is kind of compromised in this whole situation. So he is calling that the government should really look into this matter and then ensure that any government appointee who has any connection to do with all of these illegal activities going on within the enclave is brought to book. So the matter, the issue is now developed. We're going to follow it to the letter and then find out who actually are involved in this activity, and then also see what the security or law enforcement agency will come out from this investigation.
Well, Kudako, thank you for providing us with some updates. Let me, of course, at this point, bring in now two individuals who will help us do this discussion. First off, Dr. Ken Achigbe is former convener for the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, joining us via Zoom. Also, there's Daryl Bosu, who's Deputy Director at Rocha Ghana. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. But then...